ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਹੀਰ ਹਨ ਵੈਨਕੂਵਰ ਤੋਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋਏ। ਇਸੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ 'ਚ ਹਨ ਮੇਅਰ ਲਿੰਡਾ ਜੈਫਰੀ ਜੀ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਰਮਨਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਾਜ਼ਰ ਹਨ। ਅਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਇੱਕ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਰ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਜਾਰੀ ਰੱਖਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੋ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਆਪਣਾ ਅਨੁਭਵ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ, ਕੋਈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਜੈਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਅੱਜ ਭੇਜਣਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਟੈਲੀਫੋਨ ਨੰਬਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 416 640 200 ਰਹੇਗਾ। ਮੇਅਰ ਲਿੰਡਾ ਜੈਫਰੀ, ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪਤਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ 1991 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਸਿਟੀ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਰ ਚੁਣੇ ਗਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਤੇ can you tell us a little bit difference between the city hall in 1991, then you left for province, then you returned in 2014. What difference do you see in the city hall?
You know, when I left, I didn't like the way things were kind of operating. So I have to say that when I left, I found that the development committee was very active at City Hall to what I felt was an extreme relationship, in that the developers seemed to have the ear of local elected officials. I don't know that that's, there needs to be some balance.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what I talked about during the election, about finding a way to capture who was talking to elected officials. A lobbyist registry was one of the things I talked about. So I would say when I left, I felt that there was too much influence by the development committee on how you designed your city, where you decided where roads and subdivisions and businesses would be, to the point where we seem to build more houses than commercial industrial properties. And I think that we've seen the results of that over the last 10 years and probably longer, that there has been a lot of houses built, but not necessarily businesses, which is really why I decided to come back and run as mayor. I think we need more jobs here. We need better education in the city, and I think there are opportunities, considering, you know, we talked in the first half about the immigrant experience. A lot of people who choose to make Brampton their home are very well educated. They're choosing to bring their education here. We've got to find a way to take and maximize that knowledge base, that innovation in a way that strengthens Brampton.
Okay, so how was it in 1991?
In 1991, when I arrived on council, there were 17 members on council.
Okay.
If you remember, it was a bigger council at the time. And when I won, there were 7 new members of council, and we had Peter Robertson as our mayor. And at the time, there was usually one regional councillor and then 3 city councillors in the area that I represented. The area was much smaller. We have grown substantially since then. And I would say that, again, we were dealing with developers on housing rather than commercial industrial. Sheridan was really in its infancy at that time.
Okay.
But it was a very different place, you know, and I think immigration was just starting to rise in Brampton, and we've seen that growth and that enormous change in Brampton, and really we're starting to rival the city of Mississauga. When you think about the number of people that have come to Brampton, that Mississauga is almost built out completely, and now it is Brampton's turn, and that has changed the kind of decisions at Brampton City Hall.
So how different is the City Hall now when you took over 7 weeks ago?
Well, I would say it's an optimistic place now. We just had our levy, which is an opportunity for the public to meet the mayor and council. And we normally would have it on New Year's Day, but we moved it out, and we had a huge attendance. A lot of people came out, and they came to tell me that they were optimistic about the future. So one of the first things I did was bring in the Auditor General, the former Auditor General, Jim McCarter. He's an individual who's been looking at our finances. We were told during the election by the former mayor that the finances were okay, that we were in good shape. I didn't actually believe that, and I think a number of people around the city were questioning whether we were doing our finances properly. Mr. McCarter is just finishing up, actually, his report.
Okay.
We should hear about that this week, about when he will be delivering his State of the Union as to our finances, and will be giving us a report card. And my sense is that we have some serious issues that we must address, but I would say that it's important to get that third party, that independent financial person giving all of us a real state of where the finances are, because we're a big city. We're the 9th largest city in Canada. We need to make sure that we put our finances in order, just as you do at home. You make sure you have some money in the bank, you make sure you're paying your bills, and as a big city, we need to make sure that we have those kinds of investments in line, that we're putting enough away for a rainy day, that we put enough away for our infrastructure, for our roads, for our bridges, and for all of the big pieces, whether it's transit, that we're putting enough away to make sure that we can sustain it.
A former mayor was saying that there's no debt on Brampton, and you think it's not true?
I don't believe it to be true. I think, we're building a huge addition to City Hall, which is, some people call it the barcode building. It's called the Southwest Quadrant, and that's a huge debt on our books. And, my old accounting teacher said to me when I used to take accounting, Linda, don't cook the books. There's a lot of different ways to finance how you create pockets of money, whether it's in a reserve or whether it's in debt. There's nothing wrong with debt so long as you have a plan to pay it down. And if it's good debt in your family, a good debt is a mortgage. A good debt is paying for your child's education. But you need to pay it off. You need to put money away for your retirement if you don't have a pension. Those are the debts that make sense over the long term, but you can't overextend yourself. And I believe that the city has overextended itself and not put money into the infrastructure, whether it's transit or whether it's post-secondary education. We haven't been putting the money away to repair facilities that we should have, in my mind. But I'm going to wait till Jim McCarter comes back with his report. He's going to report to council and to the public. And it's going to be a public opportunity for you to come to City Hall in the evening to hear what he has to say and to give you a sense of where we are financially and give us that report card.
So if there is no surplus money or city is in debt, that means our city of Brampton people are always complain that they are paying high taxes. So do you think then property tax is going to be higher because it's under debt?
I think that Mr. McCarter is going to give a sense of where we are, and I don't want to scare everybody. This is not all doom and gloom, and I think that certainly we can provide a snapshot of where we are.
Okay.
But this council has a term of 4 years to make investments, to make the right decisions, to attract business. The more business that you attract to the city of Brampton, commercial, industrial, the lower your property taxes can go. So the more business that we attract to Brampton, the more attractive we make it, the more business will want to come here, and that will lower your property taxes. And I would say that most people, they believe that they pay pretty high property taxes, and they're not sure what they get for it. So it is our responsibility to tell you how we're spending your money, to respect you as a taxpayer, to know how hard you work to earn those dollars. And many people in our city work 2 and 3 jobs.
Yeah.
They're supporting their children,
And they work
their
somewhere
parents,
else.
their business, and they want to know that the people at City Hall respect them and will spend their dollars carefully, and that's what I intend to do.
Yeah, their house is in Brampton, their job is somewhere else.
Yeah.
ਰਮਨਦੀਪ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਕੈਂਪੇਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਕਹਿ ਸਕੇ ਔਰ ਲੋਕ ਇਹ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਇਤ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਟੈਕਸਸ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਬੈਨੀਫਿਟਸ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਘੱਟ ਹੀ ਆ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁਣ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਮੇਅਰ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਸਿਟੀ ਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਕਰਜ਼ਾ ਆ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚਲੋ ਅਗਲੇ ਹਫਤੇ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਊਗਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਆਊਗੀ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਜੇ ਟੈਕਸ ਹੋਰ ਵੱਧਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਟੀ ਟੈਕਸ ਤੇ
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਜਿਮ ਮੈਕਾਰਟਰ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਬੁਲਾਇਆ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਐਕਸਟਰਨਲ ਥਰਡ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੇ ਸਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਹਾਲਾਤ ਕੀ ਨੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਘਰੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੈਂਕ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ 'ਚ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਨੇ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਆਉਣੇ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਡੈਟਸ ਮੋਰਟਗੇਜ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੇ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਪਰ ਸਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਲੀਅਰ ਪਿਕਚਰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਵੇ ਕਿ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ 2 3 4 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡਾ ਕੀ ਹਾਲ ਆ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸਿਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਲਿੰਡਾ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਹੋਣਗੀਆਂ ਜਿਮ ਮੈਕਾਰਟਰ ਦੀ ਰਿਪੋਰਟਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਆਪੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆ ਜਾਣਗੀਆਂ ਪਰ ਐਜ਼ ਸਿਟੀ ਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਸਿਟੀ ਦੀ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਅੱਛੀ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਇਹੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਮੇਵਾਰੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੱਲ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਇਕੱਲਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਟੀ ਟੈਕਸ ਹੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਅੱਛੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ ਕਰਨੀ ਅੱਛੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਜੋ ਸਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਨਵੈਸਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਲੌਂਗ ਟਰਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਨੂੰ ਅਟਰੈਕਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਜੋ ਹੋਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਜੋ ਟੈਕਸ ਪੇਅਰਸ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੋਮ ਓਨਰਸ ਨੇ ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਟੈਕਸ ਪੇਅਰ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਆਉਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਮ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ਼ਰ ਉਹ ਘਟੇ
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਜੀ ਚਲੋ ਜੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 416 640 0200 ਟੈਲੀਫੋਨ ਨੰਬਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੌਣ ਹਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਮੌਕਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਹੈਲੋ ਜੀ
ਹੈਲੋ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ
ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਜੀ ਲਿੰਡਾ ਜੈਫਰੀ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਗਾਰਡਿੰਗ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਬੋਰਨ ਐਂਡ ਰੇਜ਼ਡ ਇਨ ਬ੍ਰੈਂਪਟਨ
ਓਕੇ
ਆਪਣਾ question ਇਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ I've been trying to get a ball hockey league
Go
in
ahead
Brampton
in English.
for longest time.
You are born and raised in Brampton. Speak in English with Mayor. You can talk in English. Sir?
Hello?
Hanji?
Hello, Hanji.
Hanji.
For the longest time, I'm wondering how come in Brampton there's no outdoor ice hockey rink?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay. In the past, there were. I know that there were some service clubs that actually started the outside rinks, and I don't know what the transition was, why that went away, and I think that certainly there's an opportunity to have that conversation with this new council. This is about making sure that we deliver the services you want.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but it's we play ball hockey, right?
Yeah.
I organize it. Well, not really to a high level, but I organize it. Many guys come out. We play at a high school called LA at Bramley and Father Tobin. We play in a parking lot.
Okay.
It takes me an hour to set up because I bring fences. I put fences around it. But for the last 2 or 3 years, I try approaching Vicky Dillon office because I wanted to see if a government or a local you know what I mean, whoever is in charge can put a fence there where we play hockey, and even for outdoor tennis court. But for Brampton, every time I call them, they're like, "Oh yeah, we got cricket fields. We got about 50 cricket fields, no problem." I'm like, "No, I'm not talking about cricket fields. I'm talking about either tennis court, either outdoor arena or outdoor ice rink." But I'm just wondering, is there anything happening with that, or just because I don't want to say this because we're Indians and the people think we don't associate with ice hockey or anything like that, so we don't need a skating rink, you know what I mean, outdoor. Or just wondering, are you guys looking into that, or what's happening with that?
Well, first of all, good for you, staying active. Good for you, because you know, as you get older, sometimes it's hard to keep active and do leagues, and good for you for organizing it. We want to work with you. You know, there's a new representative in the area that you're playing ball hockey, and Gurpreet Dillon is the new representative there from the city, and I know that he'd be interested in having a conversation with you. We are about to sit down in the coming weeks to talk about our budget and how to deliver better services, and I'm pretty sure he would be interested in chatting with you. So find a ways to send him an email or give him a call and talk to him about the kinds of services that you need. I want you to stay physically active, and I want you, if you live in the city of Brampton as a taxpayer, to get the kind of service that you want. I was disturbed during the election to hear from a number of people who wanted to play either baseball or soccer. They could not find space in the city of Brampton, or it was cheaper to play it in Mississauga, or the grounds were better in Mississauga. I don't want that to happen. I want you to play in the city where you pay your taxes, where you live, and I want to know when it doesn't work.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. I'm glad you brought that up, because we actually should drive all the way to Rexdale to play ball hockey.
Yeah. So I don't want that happening anymore. I want you to play close to home, and then when you're finished, I want you to go to a local restaurant and spend money and have something to eat and drink with your friends. I want the money, the resources, and you to stay in Brampton. And if we're doing a poor job and you're going elsewhere, then we're doing something wrong. So thank you for bringing it to our attention. And find a way to get in touch with Gurpreet to start with. And, and I'm happy to work with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who should we get in touch with?
Gurpreet Dillon, he's the local representative. He took over the seat, the city seat where you're playing ball hockey now.
Okay.
And give him he has email, and he has a phone, and he's a bright young man, and he's new, and he's eager to find ways to make his mark in the city, and I'm happy to work with him to find a way to keep you in Brampton.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ramandeep, actually, what I like is when Mayor Linda Jeffrey actually listens when people talk, and she's so patient. She listens and then she replies, and I think that way she is very, very effective, and that's a good quality of leadership. What do you want to say about that?
Yes, no, I agree. एक ਤਾਂ ਲਿੰਡਾ ਜੈਫਰੀ ਨੂੰ ਤਜਰਬਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੈਗਾ ਐਜ਼ ਅ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਐਂਡ ਐਜ਼ ਅ ਰਿਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟੇਟਿਵ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਾਮਯਾਬੀ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਹਾਸਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਜੋ ਮਸਲੇ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਲੋਕ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬੜੀ ਅੱਛੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸਮਝਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 15 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਇਹੀ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਵੀ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਜੋ ਮਸਲਾ ਵੀ ਇਹਦਾ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਹੱਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਜਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਸੋਲੂਸ਼ਨਸ ਕੀ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਸੁਣਨਾ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਕੀ ਸੁਜੈਸਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਦਾ ਸੋਲੂਸ਼ਨ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ
ਪਰ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਰਮਨਦੀਪ ਲੋਕ ਇਹ ਬੜਾ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਹੋਣਾ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਜੀ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਰ ਵੀ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਇਹ ਜੀ ਐਮਪੀਪੀ ਵੀ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਇਹ ਜੀ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਵੀ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਲਈ ਕੱਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੇਅਰ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਕੱਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਾਤਾਂ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ ਪਰ ਇਹ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਕੈਂਪੇਨ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਲੋਕੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਜਿੱਤਣ ਲਈ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਹਰਾਉਣ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਅਨਫੋਰਚੂਨੇਟਲੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਪਰ ਲਿੰਡਾ ਜੈਫਰੀ ਨੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਤੀਜੇ ਤੇ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਪੂਰੀ ਨਿਕਲਣੀ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਦਾ ਰੈਕੋਰਡ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਸ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਸੋਚਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਸਟ ਕੁਝ ਹਫ਼ਤਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਜੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਡਿਸੀਜਨਸ ਲੈਣੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਔਖੇ ਡਿਸੀਜਨਸ ਲੈਣੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਇਹ ਉਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਵੱਲ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ
ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਟੌਪਿਕਸ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਡਿਸਕਸ ਕਰਨੇ ਆ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਰੋਤਿਆਂ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਮੌਕਾ ਮਿਲੇ ਬਿਫੋਰ ਦੈਟ ਮੇਅਰ ਡੂ ਯੂ ਵਾਂਟ ਟੂ ਸੇ ਸਮਥਿੰਗ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਡਿਊਰਿੰਗ ਦ ਕੈਂਪੇਨ lot of people were skeptic. They were thinking you were councillor already, you were MPP, you were minister, you didn't do anything for Brampton, so you will not do anything when you become mayor. So do you want to say something about that?
Well, you know, I think election campaigns are an opportunity to challenge people, to ask them, you know, what have you done? What skill sets do you bring to the table? And we had some very lively debates. I think there were 16 candidates running for mayor, and there were lots of people making promises about what they could deliver, what they thought the city needed. And certainly I'm very fortunate to have been in politics for as long as I have and to be as successful. But I've learned a lot. When I was a city councillor, I made terrible mistakes. You know, I spent a lot of time focusing on residential subdivisions when I should have been focusing on business. But you learned over time how to finance, and certainly as a city we made decisions that I think I know now were not good decisions. We did 0, 0, 0 in our budget year after year. In a high growth community you can't do that. You need to put money away, you need to constantly be investing just like you do in your home. You make sure the roof is repaired, you make sure the furnace is repaired, you make sure you paint around the windows, you repair your property. And as a city, we were trying to cut corners to please the voters. But as an elected official, sometimes you have to bring that tough message. My fortune is that I have been to the province. I went there to get better health care for Brampton. And certainly Brampton Civic is that result, and the approval for Peel Memorial. I'm very proud of that. And the nice thing is I'm back at the other end now that we're about to see that culmination of all the investment in healthcare. That's going to make Brampton a very special, unique place across Canada to have 2 brand new healthcare facilities. Brampton Civic is $1 billion of healthcare. Peel Memorial will be a new, innovative wellness facility that will really serve our community. One of the biggest challenges we have in Brampton is that we have a community that has very high diabetes. That's a huge, chronic group of people that have an issue that if they don't address it, they can die. They can lose their vision, they can lose their limbs. This is a very serious chronic disease, and I want to find a way to attract people who research, people who know how to keep my residents healthy for as long as possible, teach them how to eat differently, how to exercise properly, and keep them vital, keep them in their families as long as possible. So there are opportunities that I learned provincially that I've been able to bring back to the city, but it's not just me. There's a brand new team at City Hall. There's 11 new people. You know, some are returning councillors, but we have 7 new people that are brand new, and we have 4 that are returning that bring that mentorship and that knowledge and that corporate experience that will make the team stronger.
ਬ੍ਰਿਗੇਡ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਕੈਂਪੇਨ ਦੇ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਇਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਭਈ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਜੀ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਕੌਂਸਲਰ ਰਹਿ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਆ, ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਜੀ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਚੱਲ ਗਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਬਾਹਲਾ ਕੁਝ ਕੀਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਡਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਹੁਣ ਵੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੱਖ ਕਰਨਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਇਸ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੋਈ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਹੋਵੇ? ਬ੍ਰਿਗੇਡੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ
ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਜੌਲ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਿ the fact that people have chosen as a mayor, fact that having talked to her for some time, one is impressed. And all that I want to raise another point, Linda, is that young boy raised a very good point. Youngsters in a community, right? We have 2 towns. One is Mississauga and Brampton. There's always comparison goes on between Mississauga and Brampton. There are few challenges also for our community when we talk about Brampton, particularly young boys. One is education. The dropout rate amongst our community is a little high. And secondly, some kids are getting into, gangs, business and drugs, which, scares the parents. I think the sports is one field as we have lacking the facility for the sports, and with your push, with your leadership, I'm sure, and I will request that you should look into this. And the second thing I just want to say is between Mississauga and Brampton, I think we should restore the pride of being belonging to a Brampton, because for these one or two challenges, people put a little finger, at least in my community, what I've heard. But I think we got to restore the faith and the pride that I belong to Brampton, and Brampton will improve. I'm sure it will improve if you look at the issue of keeping young boys and girls engaged in sports and many other fields.
All right, so I have no doubt that she's focused. Please.
You know, your caller raises a lot of really important issues. And I think one of the things that caused me to run was I was ashamed. I was embarrassed that I was from Brampton, and people down in the legislature would say, "What's happening in Brampton?" And I couldn't explain it. I didn't know why things were so bad at City Hall that's really why I ran. And I agree with your listener. These are very serious issues, and I want people to say they're from Brampton. I want them to brag. We have some young people that just a few months ago, they were getting their marks back, and these young people are getting 100% or 99.9%. They're doing so well in school. They're getting scholarships in the U.S. As athletes. We are producing some really well-educated, well-rounded young people, and that's not what we're hearing about.
Yeah.
So I agree with your caller. There are some issues that are a challenge, and when my children were growing up, I had 3 sons, and when they were in high school, I was nervous about the kind of influence, their friends that they hung around with, and nothing has changed in that regard. We always want to keep our young people busy and active and focused, and we want to make sure that they have the right exposure to opportunity as much as possible. And City Hall is part of that partnership. Some of it comes from your family. Some of it comes from our faith leaders. And certainly I'm working as closely as I can with them, that we're going to reinstitute something that Peter Robertson, 2 mayors ago, instituted with the faith leaders, sitting down, having breakfast with them, talking about issues and worries that we all have about what our young people are doing and what kind of influences there are. You know, we live in very difficult times around the world, that there are things going on that scare us as parents, as leaders, that we need to talk about. We have to have some of those tough conversations, and I appreciate that your caller raised that.
All right, so देखते हैं कि हुन साडे नाल कौन ने लाइन ते. Hello.
Hello, hi.
Hello. Yes, go ahead, please.
I had 2 questions for Mayor Linda Jeffrey. The first one is, are there any plans for any university campus to come to Brampton?
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to ask both of them, and I'll answer both of them?
Sure. And then the second one was, so I go to UTM, the University of Toronto Mississauga campus.
Yeah.
But what I have noticed is that when I go to the GO station, there are GO buses that go to Guelph University, York University, as well as McMaster. But no such service exists for UTM. Like, even when I get to square one, I have to get a transfer from there to go to UTM. And in regards to York also gets express Zoom service. And so when it comes for me to go to university, it takes me 2 hours to go one way. And that's a big loss of productivity and time. So I was wondering, will there be any express services coming in the future that will help commuters like myself?
You raised some great questions. I wish we had a lot of time to talk about this issue, but we will be talking about it more in the future. First of all, good for you for sticking it out, and I know the commute is certainly long. I wish I could make it easier, quicker, and more affordable. The answer is yes, we're going to try and find some conversations about how we can make transit work better, that it can be more seamless, that it can be better from an affordability perspective. I don't know that I can make the change quickly, but I've certainly talked with I think it's your dean at UTM about how we can find ways to deliver courses in Brampton. But those are really in the early stages. I think I've been on the job about 7 weeks, but I'm interested in finding ways to work with UTM. And certainly the transit has got to be part of that conversation, because we have students in Brampton that go to a number of universities, and they are traveling great distances, and that's really why we've been having the conversation about a university. We will be announcing a blue ribbon panel of a number, probably about 13 individuals who bring a different level of expertise, one of them being former Premier Bill Davis and others, who will help us explain to the community how the City of Brampton didn't apply for a university. So we have some education to do. I had hoped the city would apply for one of those university spots. And I'm in fact going down to talk to the Premier tomorrow in Toronto about our university dreams and visions and how we can find a way to move forward. This is something our community's been talking about for probably a decade. We want post-secondary education, and Sheridan is a wonderful institution, provides us with certainly a lot to be proud of, but certainly our community wants a University of Toronto, a Western, a McMaster. We want that kind of facility in Brampton and that graduate education opportunity so that our young people don't have to leave to go to those institutions. Because once you leave, you often don't come back. You get a job somewhere else, and I want you here. I want to retain all that knowledge, all that passion, all that excitement and that knowledge in Brampton, and I want to build on that, particularly in the health sciences field. So give us a little longer. That's something we're working on to find some leverage with the province, because we have to work with the province to make that happen. But cities that are successful across Ontario with a university have seen their economic development grow, their stature, the pride in your community often is associated with a university.
What have you planned to discuss tomorrow with the Premier? You want to share some points?
The university is one issue. I'm going to be talking about transit. I'm going to be talking about a lot of issues that regional representation. I want to make sure Brampton is better represented at the region. I'm going to be talking about GO service as well as light rail transit. There are things that I want to update her on, but most importantly, I want to have a good relationship with the province.
Okay.
I think that's the issue that really caused me to run. The city of Brampton had a very toxic relationship with its neighbors, with the federal government, with the province, with each other. That doesn't do us any service. The mayor of Brampton needs to be working with everybody, and when you have a problem, you need to be able to pick up the phone and call people and ask them to help you. And we didn't have that kind of relationship. So we need a respectful relationship, not only with Mississauga and with Caledon, but with the province, with the federal government, because any of those big projects needs a partner. And we need to be able to build better transit, whether it's GO service, whether it's light rail transit. Those things will help build a better community for us. And those are probably the big issues that I need to talk about with the Premier.
You were progressive conservative, then you switched to liberal. In 2003, you got elected. How do you identify yourself today?
Well, I know there's this myth out there that I was a conservative, but I wasn't a card-carrying anything until I actually was asked to run by the Liberals. And you know, for me, it was a good fit with Dalton McGuinty, and he and I had very similar values, and we shared that. And I was a happy person down at the legislature. There were the odd things that we bumped about, and certainly regional representation was one of them. But I think it's a better fit for me being a mayor, because I think there are good ideas that the NDP have, and I think there are good ideas that the PCs have, and the Liberals. And a mayor needs to work with everybody. And you know, one of my mentors is Premier Bill Davis. And whenever he gets the chance, he tells me that I am philosophically misguided and that I don't understand because I should be a conservative. I think he and I get along very well because I don't like spending money. Unless it's for the right reasons. So I'm very frugal with the dollar, which I think conservatives can appreciate, but I also like to make sure that we have a strong safety net for all of our community. So there are things that I identify with in all parties, and I work with all the members, and I think that's what a mayor needs to do. So I guess I can't really identify myself. People will always see me as a Liberal, and I understand that, but I have friends in all different parties, and I respect them, and I think there are some good ideas that bear merit, and I want to work with them. If it benefits Brampton, I will be whatever party that is.
Okay. So you were never conservative?
No.
All right.
No.
So देखते हैं हम सर नाल कौन है. Hello. Hello.
हाँ जी जॉल साहब.
अच्छा जी ब्रिगेडियर ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡੀ ਲਾਈਨ ਡਿਸਕਨੈਕਟ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਸੀ. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਸੁਣ ਪਾਏ ਜੋ ਕੁਝ ਮੇਅਰ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ?
हाँ जी सुन रहे.
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ. ਅੱਛਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਇੱਕ ਛੋਟੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੇ ਜਾਣਾ. ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਜਾਰੀ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ. ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹਨ ਜੀ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੇ ਮੇਅਰ ਲਿੰਡਾ ਜਾਫਰੀ ਜੀ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਰਮਨਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਨ, ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਤੇ ਕੁਝ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵਿਚਾਰਨੇ ਨੇ, ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕੁਝ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਵੀ ਹਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਿਚਾਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ